Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister for the Environment. Minister, I asked this question when only moments ago the spot price for electricity in South Australia was approaching 50 times the cost of electricity in Victoria. I asked the Minister about a retail business in my electorate in Mount Gambier. This business has seen an increase in the cost of its electricity bill for 1 month alone of $18,000. Minister, can you update the House on what action the government is taking to ensure Australians have access to affordable and reliable
The member's
power?
time has expired. The Minister for the Environment and Energy.
Mr Speaker, I thank the member for Barker for his question and acknowledge his deep concern for the rising electricity prices for those in his electorate, including the irrigators, the almond growers, the sawmill at Glencoe, and indeed the fast food operators at Naracoorte and Mount Gambier, who have seen their electricity prices each go up by more than $90,000 over the last year. Now, when those opposite talk about jobs, spare a thought for those young people or those parents coming back into the workforce after having kids who will be denied a job because those businesses can't afford to pay their own electricity bills. Now, Mr Speaker, that's why the Prime Minister is focused on getting stability and security in our electricity system. That's why he called in the LNG suppliers last week and got a major commitment from them to meet the future shortfalls in the domestic gas market. That's why the Snowy Hydro scheme is so important. That is why I was in South Australia for 1,000 households and businesses battery project when we, not the state government, partnered with AGL to provide energy security. Now, Mr Speaker, we've found out that the Premier of South Australia, he's blamed for the troubles in South Australia, privatisation that occurred more than a decade ago. He's blamed the energy market operator. He's blamed the federal government. And today he's gone out and says the Australian newspaper has a jihad. They're his words, a jihad against renewables. But, Mr Speaker, in a press conference today, the Premier of South Australia was asked about the warning back in 2009 about why it was damaging to go above more than 20% with renewables. So the question to the Premier was, you were warned that you were going to be beyond 20% for renewables and that was going to destabilise the grid. What do you say, Premier of South Australia? Well, the evidence is that it hasn't, Mr Speaker. The Premier of South Australia has said about his energy system, it's good for business, it's good for jobs, and it's good for affordability and reliability, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, denial is not just a river in Egypt, Mr Speaker. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. And then the member for Port Adelaide says that what we have
Minister will
is an
resume his
electricity
seat. Minister will resume his seat. Just resume your seat for a second. Members on my right, member for Reid and Barker. The Manager of Opposition Business on a point of order. I just sense we're entering dangerous territory, but I'll...
Mr Speaker, under Standing Order 100 and the requirement for authentication, we heard in the question about it being, I think, 50 times. Given the spot price is nowhere near 50 times right at this moment, could he either table his calculator or table the document that he was basing it on?
His seat. As the Manager of Opposition Business knows, there's no point of order. He's welcome to ask a question on any previous questions, though. The Minister for the Environment.
Mr Speaker, well, the NEM Pocket app is showing South Australia at $10,579 a megawatt hour. Now, Mr Speaker, the member for Port Adelaide has belittled the troubles in his own state, calling it a hiccup. And when asked about David Stibiers, about South Australia, he said there always has to be a jurisdiction that led the way, Mr Speaker. So the member for Port Adelaide thinks that leading the way to lower jobs, less investment, higher prices and less stability is the way to go. We on this side of the House want more energy security and affordability.
The Minister's time has concluded.